Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On Monday, I asked why so many children at the Stollery Children's Hospital have to suffer the emotional toll of cancelled surgeries. I was told it was a blip. It was flu seasons, you know, all the kind of answers we're used to, Mr. Speaker. Today, the interim chief of pediatric surgery at Stollery stood with me and challenged the minister's assertions head-on. He told us it's not a blip. It's a trend, and it's getting much worse. So again, to the Premier, will he explain why Alberta families are seeing 100% more cancelled surgeries at the Stollery Hospital this year over last?
The Honourable Minister of Infrastructure.
Quite simply, Mr. Speaker, because last year there were 1,643 emergency surgeries, and this year there's 1,931 year-to-date already, Mr. Speaker. So the fact is that there's 287 more emergency cases that had to be dealt with, Mr. Speaker. Approximately 200 of those emergency cases were dealt with without affecting any other surgeries or cancelling them, Mr. Speaker. About 87 of those emergencies did result in other surgeries having to be cancelled or postponed for the day, Mr. Speaker. But it was because of emergency.
Thank you. First supplement.
Well, Mr. Speaker, our numbers don't include emergency surgeries, so it's completely not relevant to this issue. Now, the minister told us that a number of cancelled surgeries are only 1% of the total number, but he included inpatient and outpatient surgeries. In fact, the cancelled surgeries for inpatient kids are the most serious, and those are the ones that are being turned away. The chief of pediatric surgery suggested today that sometimes the rate of cancellation of inpatient surgeries is as high as 30%. So again, to the Premier, can he explain why we don't have enough beds for the kids who need these surgeries?
The Minister of Infrastructure.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I think the member's question and the statements before are something that she needs to consider very wisely, because she herself said inpatient surgeries are the ones that have had to be cancelled or postponed, Mr. Speaker. The reason why that happens, Mr. Speaker, is quite simply because an emergency comes in the door. When an emergency comes in the door, they have to find a way to fit in that surgery, and sometimes that means delaying a surgery that is not an emergency.
Final supplemental.
Well, Mr. Speaker, the Chief of Pediatric Surgery says that the information that we're getting from this government is just wrong. And the problem is that we don't have enough beds. In fact, the Stollery is performing 4 times as many surgeries now as they did 10 years ago, and the number of beds has hardly changed. They simply aren't doing their job providing the health care for Alberta's children. Why? Why is that?
The Honourable Minister.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. We continue to ensure that Albertans, Mr. Speaker, are getting access to timely and effective health care treatments, Mr. Speaker. This is always a continuous effort to ensure that we are bettering the services for Albertans, Mr. Speaker. But sometimes what is needed is suggestions that are constructive to actually make things better. We welcome them from the other side, or doctors, or anybody else, Mr. Speaker, at any time. We're moving forth to ensure that Albertans have the health care they need when they need it.